Okay.
Morning.
Hello. Good morning. Hi, Thomas.
Good morning, Alex. Good to see you.
Do you have your coffees ready? We can't hear you. Alex, you're muted.
Jetzt bin ich da. Hallo, Thomas.
I still can't hear you.
Oh, why not?
You look like a pilot in a cockpit.
So, jetzt?
I
Chose a different position today. So today I have some books in the background. Marcio, some books in the background. So I look a little bit more intellectual.
You are very intellectual. You're very fine. Thomas, do you hear me now?
can't hear you still.
Paulo, can you test if it's on my end? If the problem is on my end?
I can hear
Oh.
well.
You know what?
We can hear you.
The problem is on my end.
Jetzt aber, oder?
We can hear you fine. And you.
Okay, coming up. Sorry, that was my problem, my end.
Good.
Sorry, Alex. My Ubuntu decides to lower the volume for Zoom because it has a separate audio engine from time to time, and that just happened. So yeah, I'm sorry, but you look great as a pilot.
You look intellectual even without the books, Thomas.
Oh, thank you so much, Marcia. That means a lot.
So this is the worldwide. Oh, 1 more minute for the world to go.
1 more
There we
minute
go.
for the world
To go, yes. Welcome, Thomas, Bettina.
Hallo, hallo.
Guten Tag.
Welcome.
Oh.
Hello, everybody.
So thank you for coming in early. We will wait a couple of minutes before we start because we're expecting about 40 to 50 people. But they also might pitch up at random times during the conversation, because again, we logged in a long time. Hi, Florian. Nice to meet you. There you are. Good to see you. Welcome, Christine.
Hello.
Valentin, nice to see you.
Hello.
We're going to wait a couple of more minutes to give some others a chance to come in. Maha, great to see you.
Good morning, good midday.
Welcome, Philip, Elke.
Hello.
Hello.
Andreas, welcome.
Kasha, welcome. Good to see
Hello.
you. Jörg. Hello, Bane. Good to see you.
What a huge watch. What's that watch?
Oh, sorry, talking to me.
Yes, I'm talking to you.
You have a huge watch on your arm.
It's a Garmin.
Ah, nice.
It's sports watch.
Yeah, I was looking at that the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can recommend kite surfing, running, swimming.
Yeah. Does it know how to show you your heart rate variability?
It shows heart rate.
Sorry?
It shows heart rate, yes.
Yes, because that's to me that's the most interesting number.
Yeah.
Felix, welcome.
Hi.
Yannick at home.
Hi, Yannick.
Hello, everybody.
Thank you for coming in so early. So we're still waiting for our keynote speaker. So as soon as she comes in, we will begin today. What are some of the locations you're calling in from? Lihi, René.
I'm supposed to be from Cape Town, but I'm stuck in Germany since March because of Corona.
Oh wow, since March. Wow. Welcome, Marta. When are you planning to go back to Cape Town?
Maybe second quarter next year.
Wow. That's a long time away from South
Yep.
Africa.
And now you know with the weather situation, that's not for me. I'm used to 360 days of sun and 28 degrees average.
Yeah, I feel you, my China. Okay, so I'm pretty sure that we will have more people coming in.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, Jörg.
Leah.
I'm pretty sure we will have more people coming in today, but I don't want to keep you waiting since you were disciplined enough to make it on time. Thank you for that very much. I shall warn you that we are live on YouTube. I doubt that anybody is watching right now, but we will use the recording of this for later reference, as we do with many of our GITA conversations. So if you feel uncomfortable with that, you are free, of course, to switch off your camera. However, it is usually much nicer to connect with other people and leaving the camera on and muting yourself. Welcome, Nancy. Muting yourself whenever you're not speaking. Nancy? So Nancy, I muted you, so just that you're aware of that. So what do we want to do today? Today we want to have a look back at what we've achieved and done within GITA Germany, specifically for the last 6 months since we started. It both feels long and short to me at the same time. And we would also look into what the 3 groups that have been active have been doing. And thirdly, we will look into what our plans are with GITA Germany and GITA Global in the coming months and the next year. And there are some very interesting things to share and some very interesting things to engage in if you choose to do so. And the whole exercise, on the one hand, we will explain and present. On the other hand, we want to engage. This is a community activity. So whenever you feel you need to share something, make yourself visible. Raise your hand, wave in the camera. And if you don't get noticed, or write a comment, and if you don't get noticed, feel free to shout at me, no problem. With that, I'd like to kick off our meeting today by giving Lihi, the founder of GITA, some space.
Want to drill 5 kilometers and produce hot water.
Sebastian, welcome. Welcome, Hannes. Want to give Lihi some space to share what she has learned and what GITA has learned about the field of tech impact investing over the course of the last couple of months. So, Lihi, the stage is yours.
Thanks, Thomas. And thank you in general for leading and being and holding the space for this community over the last 6 months. I feel like I see most of the faces I see, I know, but is there anyone here who is kind of new to GITA in general? This is their first event or conversation. Okay, great. So just so we're all on the same page, I'll quickly, very briefly go over the objectives and of the organization, a little bit about it, just so we're all on the same page, and then we'll talk a little bit about the next steps and what we're looking for. So forgive me if I have a little presentation. Let's see. Right. So just so we're kind of focused, the GITA is the Global Impact Tech Alliance. And we set up GITA just under a year ago. So, well, 10 months ago or so. So it's quite a new organization. And it was founded by me and my co-founder, Cecile Belilius, who we'll talk about in a minute, and then joined by a wonderful team that now leads it. And our real goal is our larger vision and mission is to expand the amount of capital or support we see for tech innovation that is dedicated to the SDGs. So we want to see how tech and the world of impact actually interact. The way we see the sector today, there is a lot of interest in tech innovation and SDGs, and different people coming in from different spaces, different investors, different accelerators, public initiatives. There's a lot of hype also. And then once they actually go into the space after people stop talking about it, but they want to actually do it, we feel that there's a wide range of methodologies and not a good place to actually speak and say, how do we know that a startup or early stage, even deep tech and research are going to make the kind of significant impact we want them to make? That is kind of analytical tools and theoretical tools that we need to have in place. And so that's on the one hand. So there's a lot of interest, a lot of activity, but it's not coordinated. So what we hope to create in GITA is really a place to coordinate both in meeting each other, both on a network level and also on the actual professional knowledge level, and create actually solutions where they don't exist. So this is a bit of our team. Marcio, who's managing together with me, is on our call as well. He might say hello in a bit. And Cecile is our co-founder and chairwoman, really supporting us. And she's one of kind of a leading figures in the world around how venture capital or early stage tech investors can really integrate these principles. We have a few more people. I'm going through this quickly and happy to kind of catch up with any of you guys personally if you want to know more about what we're doing. But I just want to have a minute on the key areas of our activities. So we're really focused on 3 main arms. One is the community side, which is what we're doing here, and we'll talk about a lot today. I want to mention just in general the special space that GITA Germany's community has as the first chapter. That is really, and Thomas with his vision and kind of experimental approach helps us really create an idea of what this community would mean. There are different kinds of communities, of course, but we're looking at something that is, on one hand, a place for professional sharing, on the other hand, a place for individuals to actually have a community and to work together. So this community is trying to hit different goals, and I think a lot of what we'll talk about today is about the structure of the community. But just in a general term, I'll say that there's regional chapters around the world, and then there's a global community that everyone kind of belongs to the global community as well. So we're trying to create a model that's both global and regional. And we want to create a platform that is as empowering as possible, so that not me or Thomas or anyone else is telling the community what needs to be done, but it is community led. There's room for engagement and leadership and saying, this is what we need in the impact tech industry, and this is how we should do it. So the whole world of community, and I think that'll be the focus of today. There really is, I think, an exciting and really special group of people here on this call and over the last 6 months that were willing to play with this idea and to create the structure of the community. And the way it will be more or less structured here is how we're going to, well, replicate it in the regions around the world. So you guys have a very important part in the founding and the pioneering of GITA and its community. And this is a place actually to say thank you, really, for all the engagement and the passion that you guys have shown. It's really exciting and moving to me, and really hope we can make sure that you guys are getting the value you wanted to, and hear the feedback or anything you want about how this community can be better in the next steps. The other two sides are around creating research projects, so mapping out who's investing in impact and tech and how they're doing it, and different kind of databases and activities that we're doing as well. And the third arm is around, well, transformation is a better name, is helping both individuals and companies and financiers join us, come into this world of impact and tech. So those are the three kind of areas. I don't want to take too much time with the theoretical thing, but I do want to mention a little bit about our why, what drives us, why we led this. And there are four main pillars that are the theoretical framework that GITA is based on. First of all, as I mentioned, the community focus, we believe that we don't need a leader, someone who's going to tell the world what needs to happen, but by pulling in the insights and the knowledge and the experience of as many people in this space as possible, we'll have better solutions that are more relevant and can be scalable. We're focusing on finance. A lot of people ask why, the entrepreneurs are around the startups, but it's not only finance, it's the whole ecosystem. And part of it is because there is an underlying assumption that the ecosystem is necessary for the companies and the startups to actually create the great solutions that are both profitable and sustainable and impactful. And no one can do it on their own. And we can love the idea of some entrepreneur that has like a light bulb and goes and changes the world, but really you need such a strong ecosystem of funding and knowledge and support and accelerators in order to actually get there. It's very rare for entrepreneurs to just show up out of the blue. I can tell it from sitting in Israel. There's a very strong ecosystem here for tech innovation, really one of the most amazing that I've ever seen. And it just creates an energy and an ability for innovation entrepreneurship, which is really necessary. So we do believe that the financial or the ecosystem side is really important, in addition to having the entrepreneurs coming up with a good idea. Another question I get is, why isn't intentionality enough? Why do we have to introduce these techniques and tools? I am pretty confident most people in this call share our vision that having methodologies for impact measurement and management will just increase the chance of actually making the kind of change we want to see. And without it, people can get lost or make mistakes or actually do harm unintentionally. And of course, the other side is why tech. There's so much to do around impact investing, but I think everyone in this community shares the optimism and the understanding that technology innovation we've seen over the last 20 or 30 years can really change reality and quite quickly. And it can scale to the point of every single human being in the world almost. So unlike other companies or different kind of businesses, by focusing on the tech innovation space that are disrupting, as a method, tech innovation is disruptive. the idea of if we can disrupt in a way that creates sustainable change and addresses the global challenges in the proper way, then we actually have a chance. So these are our 4 whys. I'll just mention a little bit about our next steps. We are in the stages of designing a partnership platform with the different actors, the leading kind of organizations around the world in impact investing. We are starting and hope to actually launch their different research projects. We've already started academic programs, so teaching in schools, in business schools and different kinds of sustainability programs about these topics and how it's done, more on the actual methodologies, actual tools that we use, and designing kind of internship or practicum kind of progress for young professionals who want to enter this space. And of course, we're going to launch our website in a few weeks, really, early 2021, which will have a space also for members and for the databases we've been collecting and the knowledge. And the one thing I do want to mention, we hope to end next year, so December 2021, with a big global event with all you guys and really all the participants from all our communities around the world, so that we want to actually have a chance to meet. While most of the year it's regional activities and maybe online activities, but we also want to have a basis for an actual face-to-face network. So really, that's just in a nutshell. I think the most important thing for me to tell you guys is that the work being done here is closely followed by us, and I'm here to support any kind of the solutions and the platforms. We really want to have a space for you guys to come up with the solutions you think as professionals that need to happen, and when they are ready, we're happy to promote them, fund them, and make them into tools that the rest of the global community can use. And so there is as much as you need us, we're here, and that's the message. And I'll be here, of course, around throughout the day for if any of you want to chat or talk or hear more, or if there are any questions. Actually, sorry.
I have one question. So you were talking about publishing your database on the website, and what's inside your database? Is it a list of companies that are already partners, or I mean, that are already in contact with GITA or members, or?
So what we have is what we call our ecosystem actors. So it's investors, VC impact investors, it's different accelerators and incubation kind of programs around the world. Impact tech. We also have databases of startups. So Deal Room recently launched their impact tech kind of side. And so anyone in the space around, it's not a database of the startups, but just everyone around them, hopefully, and by region, so we could also connect and work together with them.
Okay, thank you.
I saw Cecile just came in.
There she is.
And so we're here because of Cecile and Lee. So I would like to give the two of you a couple of minutes to share with us what your current view is on the tech impact investing situation on the globe. Because you, with GITA Global and Cecile in her other roles, are very central in that entire conversation. So we're very curious to hear your thoughts and views on this.
Yeah, so hi everyone. Sorry I'm late. I got stuck in a Zoom meeting with our science minister, so I couldn't say sorry, I gotta go. And this also has maybe an implication to answering your question, Thomas. I think the time has come. I'm getting, I'm working with a mainstream venture capital fund, which is very major in Israel, and I'm getting continuously bombarded by researchers, venture capital investors, impact investors, entrepreneurs, anyone in between, about how to integrate ESG and SDG into their business. What does it actually mean? How difficult is it? I'm also a design partner with the UNDP, with the SDG, with the IMP project, with all these projects that are looking at ESG and impact measurement for funds. So there are no VCs there. And they want to be inclusive of VCs. I'm seeing, we just published a paper that this is the decade of impact, like the decade of ESG. It's coming. I certainly see it coming, and I see it mainstreaming, which to me translates immediately to the importance of having people like you on board with GITA for a few things. Number one, we need to train people. People will need to take these positions, and they need to be trained and not reinvent the wheel, or worse, do social washing and just use it as marketing tools or branding tools or whatnot. So first of all, we need to train people, and Lee has built a really amazing curriculum system for universities and training for people to just train, to just get to know the sector, the methodologies, what can be used, what is used by others, and all that stuff. So that's one thing. Second, it's about the authenticity and the ability to really use tools and speak the same language. So right now with Pitango, we're co-investing with some other funds who are very keen on integrating ESG and impact into this investment process. And they're doing it together with us. So we need to speak the same language. If each fund has a different set of languages, a different set of metrics, a different set of criteria that they're requesting the startups, it will fail, because the startups are small companies. They don't have the resources to answer 10 different questions on the same topic by different funds. So we need to be aligned. So hence, again, the importance of GITA and our collaboration to work together on the tools, on the common language, on the shared practices, and then, of course, collaboration and cooperation. So I think it's coming. It's coming and from many different directions, and we have to be ready for it. So I'm so thrilled that this is raising so much interest, and so many people are there who really want to participate and contribute themselves and also learn. That, to me, this is a good indication that we have a product market fit here for GITA. So there is a need, we are really answering it, and we can really provide what the market needs to scale. So that's my thought.
I'll put in my 2 cents here. That I feel like that, yes, there's a huge amount of interest, especially around the climate issue, and in Europe. I feel like in terms of practical, above the interest and the hype and the conversations, the most important like actual practical change we're seeing is in the VC world, like actually speaking about ESG. So responsible investing when you're investing in early stage tech, which is one step to the world to impact it, but it's huge. It's a paradigm shift in terms of the tech investors until now. That were like, well, it's tech, it's great, it's wonderful, there can't be anything wrong with it. And so this is becoming actual mainstream, and really we see more and more people speaking about it. So that, I think, is one of the more exciting issues. One of the things that do kind of concern me, though, is the fact that the sector is so fragmented, and nobody is talking together. Then we have still 2 big issues, and one of them is that the impact investing sector, as I see it, still doesn't really acknowledge that there's a difference between the traditional impact capital, which is private equity, and VC, and why it's different. And so we're doing a lot of education and market building around other impact investors, saying, this is actually a different asset class and needs different tools. And the other thing that is, I think, one that what Cecile mentioned is there's kind of a chance or a risk for wash because of the hype, because of a lot of interest, and people are just saying that they're contributing to the SDGs or to the climate, and they they aren't. And so we want to be very, very careful. And this is why we're also not, despite the hype, we're not everywhere. We're not jumping on it. We're actually not being opportunistic, but we're actually building our community and our knowledge very carefully to make sure we're not contributing to this hype story.
Okay, so thank you both. I think you shared a lot of things that are worth really following and really going deeply into, which I hope we will have time during this conversation today. I'd like to shift the focus onto GITA Germany and its activities in the light of what we've just heard. And also in the light of what Lihi shared earlier about where we would like to take it in the future. And you're maybe wondering about my level of identification with GITA by renaming myself here in this Zoom call to GITA. But I would like you to do the same. The reason is, while I present my subjective view on the last 6 months of GITA Germany, I would like you to openly, without filter, write your feedback, ideas, thoughts, suggestions, criticism, positive feedback into the chat here in our Zoom. But I want you to do this anonymously. And after that, we will have a conversation about this. So for the next 10 minutes or so, I'd like you to rename yourself to GITA, all of you. Usually that works by a right click and then rename. If you have trouble doing that, now please talk to the guy named GITA. No, Paolo. Paolo, can you show yourself for 1 second? Yes, still muted. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
So please ask Paolo to help you. And I want to use this as a means of introduction to who Paolo is. I personally, and I think Paolo sees it the same way, want to develop him into the heartbeat of GITA Germany by helping us to combine all of the efforts and activities and content production efforts within GITA to ensure that there is some congruent outcome coming out of GITA. He just joined this week. Yeah, thank you for joining, Paolo.
Thank you.
It's already very helpful. And so if you haven't done so, please rename yourself, or Paolo can take that over from you.
Yeah.
Okay, so with that, again, as I'm talking, please offer your feedback in written form in the chat window anonymously, and later we will pick these pieces up and discuss them here in this group. And so let me go back to where GITA Germany started. It really started on the evening of the launch in Tel Aviv, and we were sitting and chatting about where could GITA go and what's the next step. And then Cecile and Lihi were thinking about, yeah, we should open a chapter somewhere. And I said, okay, let's open a chapter in Germany. And then COVID hit and slowed everything down a little bit. But in May, we did it. We decided we're going to do this massive, crazy undertaking of doing a 6-hour Zoom call to kick off the community and somehow mirror what had happened in Tel Aviv in January. And in my perspective, that would That was an extremely inspiring event. There were in the beginning, I think 80 people in our conversation. I think after 6 hours there were still 60, and these 60 people in various conversations came up with several topics that are worth working on. As missing pieces of the infrastructure to make tech impact investing something that is strong enough to fulfill that mission that we then had and still have, to move towards 50 billion US invested per year in 2030. And and with that energy, there were several groups coming out who wanted to work on this. And the way we decided to work was probably because of my tech background, but also because many of the GITA Germany participants also have a tech background. It's very natural to use agile methodologies. So we were using a version of Scrum, the GITA Scrum, Impact Scrum, to work on this. And the way this happened was that once a month, a representative of each of the groups would convene with others in an open conversation, doing a Scrum meeting, doing a review on what the group had done in the past 4 weeks, looking into the future, what is the group planning to do, and discussing what is the group blocked by. And the time between, we try to unblock what was blocking. And all of that was done by volunteers. So nobody got paid for anything. This was all driven by the people, which I found extremely powerful and extremely energizing. Unfortunately, on the way, my co-steward for Germany got very busy with his with the startup, which is totally understandable, and he had to focus on that, which left me alone in that role of the steward for the community, and which I, from my perspective, noticed as a drop in activity, because I just couldn't nurture it in the way I would have wanted to. And this is partially why Paolo is here, but also why I'm looking for somebody who wants to share the stewardship for Germany with me. And what we also experienced inside of the groups, that this is a crucial element of our original setup, which is that every group, a regional chapter like Germany, but also groups that are active within, should have 2 leads. There's an interesting dynamic to having 2 leads in a group, and we saw that the activity of the groups is very, very much dependent on the balance between the leads, on there being more than 1 lead usually. There's one group that effectively has 4 leads, but one very, very strong guiding person. Other groups fell apart, and we had to somehow deal with that disappointment for all of us. So from the get-go, we try to come up with usable products, with things that come out of these activities by the groups towards something that brings the entire community, not only the small community of the active members of GITA Germany, but also the wider community of the not so active members, and then the even wider community of everybody involved in impact tech investing in Germany. And we try to bring out things that actually help these groups, these people do their work better, because it's hard to change the paradigm of investing. Lee pointed to that in the sense that it's a different asset class, right? We need entirely new ways of thinking about this, and this is not an easy thing to do. This is why we get together. This is why we share our brains. This is why we engage in distributed cognition around this. And we have learned a lot, and we intend to learn a lot, especially also now here from you today. But what we've learned, we've also tried to crystallize in a design for how we believe the community can thrive and thrive even more in the future. So with that, I hope I've given enough time for some thoughts in the chats. There are some, especially from somebody called GITA. And in the general notion of this being a joint conversation, I want to pass the word now to you. Feel free to rename yourself again, and building on what I have said, what others have written or you have written. Let's have a discussion that is forward-looking, that is learning from the past 6 months, and moving into a future in which we, as a community, are self-enabled towards providing valuable components, infrastructure pieces for a impact tech investing community. So if you want to say something, keep it precise. Don't take up all the air in the room, but also don't be shy, right? Open your microphone, and once the person before you has finished talking, it's your turn. If let's try this. If this works, it's beautiful. If it doesn't, I will moderate and give you the voice as you raise your hand. Okay, who wants to go first?
Not many.
I'm happy to go first. So first of all,
thank you.
Yeah, great, Thomas, so much for everything you did, even after you lost your buddy, to work on that. So really appreciative. I personally have to say I was at the kickoff meeting and now at this meeting, so I haven't been active in between, but I was curious to see what you have done in the last 6 months and what you did. So thank you for that first. And then, yeah, I like the comment in there from somebody who was in the impact measurement working group. And yeah, I guess generally, I also would love to understand maybe, how GITA can maybe collaborate, right, with other impact actors in the space that are already doing, that we make sure we don't duplicate, any efforts. Obviously I wasn't involved in that working group, but that's certainly like the impact management project did, a huge work over 2 or 3 years to try to align like 200 organizations to come up with a measurement system. So I like the idea that this person mentions, of okay, how can we bring in other actors and work together. And then, if I understand it correctly, GITA obviously has the focus on the tech piece, right? Tech for good or impact tech, however you want to call it. So I think that probably is something unique about GITA, and maybe where I'm not sure if the measurement group could focus on that, right? Do we have actually the right measurement pieces for tech, actually? Yeah, I think that was maybe one comment so far.
Thank you. Who wants to build on that?
Yeah, maybe I'll say something, reading the comments. I think there's a big sense of community here. People are they feel familiar, and they feel that they're part of a group that works together and has a shared mission. That's very clear from the comments. And just to build on my predecessor, I think GITA's role is not necessarily to provide the tools or to provide the answers. It's a community that is built in order for others to step in together and work together on building these tools that are acceptable to everyone. Because we do have to align what we're doing, and that's going to help us scale. So this community somehow needs to create this network effect that brings everyone on board, so that everybody has a voice, and we can eventually choose to work in ways that are collaborative. We're not going to. So GITA is not a producer of tools. It's not a producer of anything. Actually, it's really a facilitator that will create this database, that will have the learning and the knowledge to dispense, will create the ways to dispense this knowledge, the groups that work together on coming to solutions, but we don't have the solutions. We don't want to be the ones who are providing. We're not a provider per se. That's I think is very reflected in what people are saying, but it's also the pitfall or potential pitfall, because it's a distributed community. It's not one person saying, okay, this is what we're doing and let's all do this. And that's exactly the challenge of working together.
Does anybody want to build on what Cecilia said?
Cecilia, thank you very much for this comment, because I think that's the essence. So the people who are really active in GITA, I think they have sometimes the feeling of being overstrained from all this very complex issues we are tackling with. And so, for example, I'm working in this making impact investing mainstream, and so I'm not an expert in this field, and so sometimes we have this feeling of, so we don't know, and we do need experts with whom we can get in an exchange and in a discussion, and I'm really very grateful that you mentioned that it's about building community, and maybe it's one looking forward to, once on the one hand working really on issues. That's, I think it's very important for getting deeper in knowledge and in understanding, and on the other hand to focus on getting in touch together in networking, to not being too quickly overstrained.
Perhaps jumping also onto that, the networking and community aspect, I think is also something where I have some impression that GITA can make a very great or large impact. I myself, for instance, I'm coming out the impact measurement domain, working on kind of product for that. But obviously I also don't want to build something which in the end nobody wants to use and doesn't help and serve its purpose. So also like focusing on creating conversations between people in this community which might have mutual interests in terms of using certain solutions or providing them or forwarding to somebody who already has a solution. I don't know, but I guess focusing more on this kind of context, I think this can create more value, a lot of additional value. I think I'd just like to comment before, I'd like to underline that. I see a lot of opportunity there.
Thank you. Yeah. Who wants to go?
Thomas, perhaps one other comment from me also. I guess I'm the least eligible one to make this comment because for several reasons I couldn't be very active over the last month. But I saw the comments in the chat room, and some of them were alluding to the fact of difficulty to maintaining continuous workflow, a number of people working on specific topics, right? And I'm seeing now currently there are 27 participants, which is great, yeah. But as mentioned before, a bit overstrained, complex issues, etc. So going forward, ideally, if we were living in a world without restrictions, it would be great to have a larger community, even, right? Having been an investment banker, we always had to meet targets and budgets, etc., and also clients and investors. So just an idea, in order to get also more diversity in terms of knowledge, expertise, background, etc. Say something like each current GITA member may try to win another, I don't know, 2 or 3 GITA participants, active participants over the next 12 months. Whether you want to name a prize, well, up to you, yeah. Well, in the investment banking world, there was a bonus. I think that it's not going to work with the current GITA funding structure, but I think that's something, to have an even wider pool and therefore to take off the burden of some very strong figures building their own VC companies at the moment, like your buddy,
Perhaps like you could also reframe it in a way like that you classify people in terms of like problem owners and solution owners or something like that. Like what are the key topics that are dear to people? Might be problem solution or another category I don't think of at the moment. That you kind of make it easier or develop pointers to the right people in the network.
Interesting idea. Who wants to build? While you're thinking, I will riff on.
Thomas, we cannot hear you.
Okay. That's new.
Now you're back.
Now
we
back.
can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. While you're thinking, what you would like to add, if you would like to add something, I will just riff on some thoughts I had while I was listening to you and reading. But please interrupt me at any moment because I'm far less interesting than what you have to say. So in my perspective, one of the crucial elements of GITA is that we are radically independent of other actors. And I really enjoy that. We try to be since we have been basing this entirely on volunteering work and everything comes out of the community, we could keep ourselves independent from any need for bringing in funds. And this allows us to have an entirely different type of conversation. And I think that's a very valuable asset to have. And another thing I could feel during the feedback I heard was that maybe our focus on trying to put people together in groups with a specific outcome is what is causing overstretching. And maybe it is much more natural and probably enough to simply get together for conversations around these topics. That is an open question I have. I don't know. But building on what Lee said earlier about me experimenting, I think we have the freedom to experiment because we don't have to answer to anybody except ourselves. And both the questions and the answers are formed by us as a group. So we can ask that question too. Yeah, there was some of the leading thoughts that came out of what I was reading and hearing. Maybe that inspires somebody. Elke, you want to say something?
I think it's in between. So only networking without having a focus on what we are doing and what we are supporting together, it's getting a little bit annoying, I think, during the time. But maybe it would be more realistic to structure the work in the groups in a more with Scrum and with all this from deadlines and things like that, we get this kind of pressure. Maybe some people, not everyone. But on the other hand, the conversation around the topic we are trying to work on is really wonderful. So and maybe we have to open the groups a little bit more, and we have to get more communication about what we are doing in the groups. For getting it more open, as Bettina said. So, but I think it's something in between, and that's the the difficult task to solve, I think.
Maha, do you want to say something or?
Yes, maybe that's a good chance, Elke, for me to jump in. You see, I'm not from the world of tech, but I am an active social working person trying to bring cross-sectoral circles that I live in. I live in many circles from the top of the pyramid to the grassroots, and I really live with them and interact with them. And I was wondering, I felt like when the whole of the introduction and everything, I was wondering, like, who are the people who are attending here? I checked a couple of LinkedIn, and then I was well, I then tried to ask Paolo for the other names because Thomas had the idea to block all of the names and nobody returned back, or very few. And so what I would like to say here, if it wasn't me knowing Thomas and he involved me, I wouldn't have known about you. Thomas is one of my circles. So yes, so this is my observation. Yes, tech, and it still is, believe it or not, far away from many people. And whether those many people, many circles would be having an input into this, it looks like a good cause a gathering or community. Finished.
Interesting direction. Who wants to build? Okay.
I have a question.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh no, Lee.
Sorry,
Lee,
so I'm hearing, and I'm not summarizing yet, but I'm hearing there's a need just to expand also just the networking and the connection between people, in addition to the more structured on the actual working groups, etc. So I'm throwing it out there just for a thought, and wondering if there's an interest or a need in like a channel, like a WhatsApp group or something like that, to just have open, regular networking. Just something until now we thought maybe there's too much of, but I thought I'd ask it in an open way and hear your thoughts.
Maybe you wanted to do it like a little quick raise your hand, or if you think that's a good idea.
I think probably. Oh yeah. No, go ahead.
I want to switch to Maha, and maybe because I'm not a technology expert, but maybe we have to communicate in a more precise way that tech impactment has preconditions, for example, in social fields and maybe even artistic fields, and all the field of governance. So if we can open this focus on technology with this preconditional things, then people are able to join us without being a technical expert, but very helpful for us.
I'd like to give Maha the quick opportunity to respond to that, and then René, and it's your turn.
Sorry, René, I'll do it fast. I'm more than happy now for the suggestion of the groups, because you see, it's not only being the tech, but it is being enabled to have this language and vocabulary is to share the dialogue. I mean, we could talk about that. I think it's a subject that I'd love to come back to. René, it's yours. The stage is yours.
Maha, thank you very much. I don't want to disturb anybody here. I just want to, as one of the group leads for the MIMS group, I just want to probably bring my view to the topics that we were discussing about. First thing is, I think Elke, you mentioned it. I think what we found is necessary is definitely we need some kind of master of ceremony, or however you would call it, that is in fact together with the group and the group leads, let's say, keeping focus on the heartbeat of every group and every subgroup. I think we need to have some kind of commitment, of course, and realistic targets that we want to achieve. But that is definitely necessary, because basically, even if we have I mean, you mentioned it, we have 4 group leads in our group, and we're still not able to keep up the pace, because sometimes, at least I remember 3 or 4 weeks while working together, none of the group leads had time to push the things forward, and that's basically bad. So I think that would help. But we have Paolo, Thomas. We had a chat with Paolo yesterday. And I think that is probably one solution at hand. The second thing that I want to address here is the topic of the accessibility of information, and kind of one topic was why to invent everything twice, or when already solutions are out there. And I think what we definitely need to do is we have as a work base, we have Notion, which is an online tool that basically helps in very easy formats or in a very easy way to structure all the information and to share the documents, to work in a collaborative way together with it. But basically, it's accessible, but it's a work tool. It's not a tool that is probably a good thing for inviting new persons to work on some topics. So what we definitely need, I think, as a product is a transformation from that, what we did, what our documents are, towards something which is publishable in the internet, and let's say is opening up the community to others. And probably is also, then back to Maha, is opening the discussion towards people and making it accessible to people that are not in the tech sector, but probably have an opinion or a smart mind towards some aspect of some topics or things that we drive as projects in the groups. And that's basically the thing that I want to say. So basically, it's one of the core features that we need is a kind of collaboration tool, because that's what we have. I think it's a Click tool or Clicky or however it is named, and it's just a directory of people that are out there. But basically, I think that's probably for the future. It's not enough when we plan to come out with the first documents and to attract more people towards GITA. That's all things that I want to say at the moment.
So I hold myself back to
responding to all of your feedback, because I want to give all of you the opportunity to contribute. Obviously, I have Marcio. Are you?
Yeah, sorry, I interrupted you.
No problem. You can take the stage. Go ahead.
Hi everyone. So I'm Marcio. I got to know Lee by Cecile, and I joined them in leading the GITA Israel. I'm not sure if I'm hitting to the point here, but interesting to know if there is some sort of alignment in what each one of the members here want to achieve and what they are expecting to get from this activity. You know, actually three things: what they want to achieve, what they're expecting to get, and how much they're willing to commit. I don't know if you ever had this conversation, but it's probably going to be tough to get anything going without conducting this type of conversation and having some sort of alignment on these three items.
Thank you, Marcio. Any thoughts?
Reactions?
Yeah. This is Alexander. I was just muted. I think Marcio hit it on the nail on the head. Nail on the hat. Sorry to say that. Even I was participating many times, not lately, due to other reasons, in the measurement group. Which actually was very fruitful, getting the collections of all the different measurements. I thought that was very helpful. I was, unfortunately, it's my mistake, not participating since like 2 months. But that to me was very helpful. But I think, you know, this time we're since half a year on the rolling, I think sort of a readjustment basically in a group call could definitely be done. And I mean, we all know how to work that, you know, with Miro and just putting things together on the wall, so to speak, and having sort of a rethinking or a readjustment or adjustment or transparency on that. Maybe it's more, I think, Liha, just as she presented before, she has pretty much a vision. So I think, or the purpose. So I think that'll be good to maybe sort of introduce this, make it like an introduction on where the founders and the Spiritus Rex has started to do that. So I think that would be good to do that, I think, every once in a while, so everybody gets aligned. At least it would help me getting back on track. So that's for that. Other than that, there are a couple of initiatives out there for impact investments, for green tech investments, the Green Tech Alliance, and you name them. I mean, so I think also that one should also look at those, what they do, because sometimes it does not make sense to form another group. I don't want to be spoiling up something, but or at least join forces, or because we have to all see how to spend time and also money in some kind of way, or where the business model is somewhere in the way. So, but this is not on me. I'm not the leader of the pack. I just want to bring that in. I founded a couple associations and groups. I'm out for the time being. That's it.
Still here. Thank you for that.
Perhaps jumping a little bit on the question of how much capacity can everybody bring and what's the interest of the people. From at least that's my perspective that I got so far, is that everybody kind of has a link to their own personal, professional activities, which might be being in the startup, might be investing and needing kind of guidance in this direction. Other might be, in my case, impact measurement, might be consulting, whatever. But I think it's like, for most of us, from my understanding, there must be kind of a linkage to our professional experiences to kind of make actually, kind of allow ourselves to invest a meaningful amount of time. And I'm not sure whether like it's so clear, at least to me, like who has kind of what kind of motivation behind. Some people are coming more from the consulting part, others just face a challenge every day to assess startups, others just want to build an ecosystem. I mean, there are different interests, and I think I don't have the impression that they're like perfectly aligned yet. So it's like a lot of people come together, want to talk about a similar topic, but very interested, different motivations behind it, which I think make it hard to have like always a well-directed, efficient process. So I think getting more transparency about like what are the motivations and the things that people are willing to commit or bring to the table would give it more direction. That's why I came up with a simple thing of like solution and problem providers. It might be any other logic, but it's like having a clearer understanding of who is coming here for what reason, and bringing those people together. I think something which might come out, for instance, if you think about problem owners, different people who just have the problem, how do I know which is actually good for, which is good tech for impact? That you then develop a shared understanding out of those problem owners. What do we want from, what do we expect as GITA participants from, for instance, an impact tech startup? What is our expectation? And what is not an impact tech startup from our understanding? Or on solution provider sides, what are kind of solutions we consider to be fruitful and which not, and for what reason? Like first structuring a little bit based on the expertise and interests, and then getting this obviously kind of a common understanding. And then obviously you have to also to match the problem and solution. So there shouldn't be like a too wide gap opening up. But I think this kind of structuring is something that I was missing so far.
So unless
there are other comments which are very, very welcome, I would like to use Yannick's comment as a bridge into the next, and specifically even further into our last portion of today's conversation, because we have created a proposal of such a structure that allows us to have a coherent understanding of where we want to go, both on a regional level, but also on a global level, and reevaluate that on a continuous basis. And I will go through that structure. I'm not going to throw the whole document at you because that's a lot of words, but I'm going to describe it. And then we will engage in another discussion around that to learn whether that's on a good path or not. So everything you've said will be taken into account for that. And thank you so much for all of your feedback. That's super, super valuable to us. And like always, we do a lot of thinking and discussing in the background to try to learn and understand and integrate as quickly as possible, but also not to overdo it. So with that, unless there is something else somebody would like to say, I would like to hand over the stage to the 3 groups that are currently active or preparing to be active in GITA Germany, to show to share with us what they've been doing, and to share with us what they're planning to do where they are stuck. So kind of like a little version of our Scrum meeting, and then have that for 5 minutes rough presentation, and then about 10 minutes feedback conversation before the next group can go. And we will start with the MIMS group. And René. We will then hear Julia presenting the current situation in the impact measurement, and then Elke about what her plans are for the collaboration group in the future. And after that section, I will show what we have come up with for how we imagine we can incorporate many of the things we've already heard into a coherent structure for the entire community. So with that, enough of me. René, your stage.
Wonderful. Thank you, Thomas. As I said in my interview already, Germans love abbreviations. So this is the reason why the first group is called MIMS, because make impact mainstream is quite long to tell it to everybody every time. So in the MIMS group, we have the focus, as the group name says, to make impact mainstream. And I think to close the financial gap for fulfilling, let's say, the goals of the SDGs is quite massive. So it is necessary to attract more capital from private institutions, from institutionals, from the capital markets. And this is the reason why we formed our group. And basically, the group itself was taking, let's say, 3 objectives. As we are working in OKRs, there's 3 objectives, which are in fact subtopics. And these subtopics, where the first topic is in fact, or was in fact, a SWOT analysis. So the SWOT analysis itself was in fact a basis work for finding out what the image is, what are the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and what can we derive from that, to have this as a kind of backdrop document to check everything against, if we're working in the right direction or not. So that was one of the first things that we've done. Then the second objective was the question of ecosystem mapping. We had that already here in the discussion, because it's necessary to have an overview about the different kind of actors that are out there. That is from, let's say, the financiers, from VCs, angel clubs, whatever, towards what I call business breeders. So the accelerators, incubators, what we have, and other ecosystems, groups, tools, whatever. So it is a quite challenging task to do so. And there is many information sources, by the way, out there, but most of them are outdated, or basically they're snapshots from a point in time. So the challenge is here. What we found out is basically to define a product, something which is in fact doing the ecosystem mapping well, but on the other hand is also not a snapshot, but a living object. So it is so attractive that in fact the entities that want to be listed there or that exist there update the data frequently, etc. So that's basically the challenge here. And as Thomas said, this is a kind of Scrum session. So what we did here is to define a baseline, what kind of actors are there, what kind of actors should we map, We already filled out a kind of, that's a Google Sheets thing. But basically that's just the tiny amount of entities that are listed there, just because there were probably 6 people working on the document. So that's just the output from 6-7 persons that took part in that task. And what we need to do is to for the next let's say weeks and months, is to define a product, probably to think about what is out there, probably what can we use as a basis, and can then, let's say, do extensions and additions, or to develop something new towards making this kind of ecosystem mapping and database living thing. So that is objective 2. The objective 3 is, I think the group name started with it. So let make or shape the image of impact investing to a kind of sexy shape, so it's very attractive, not only for those ones that are interested in the impact effects, but also from a financial market aspect, because this is, as mentioned, I would probably not say a new asset class, because I don't like the word new asset class. If we want to make it mainstream, then it should be something which is not separate. But on the other hand, it's necessary to talk about who are the audience of it. So what we don't want to do is here to sing the song to the people that are already in the choir. So it's not about shaping a sexy image for those ones that are listening here in that session, but for those ones that are basically on the edge towards thinking about sustainability and ESG, and towards deep impact investing, and to attract them more towards impact investing in a, let's say, in a more focused sense. And so what we did over that time is to define who are the personas, so to say, that can be addressed for doing this, or for being the target group of it, and how can we reach them? So basically, where do they mingle? Where do they exchange information? Where they get their informations from, etc. And then distilled out from that, we focused on, let's say, the top 3 groups, which are the ones that needs to be influenced to drag more money towards the impact table. Which are the, let's say, the instruments that we could use. And we found out that mainly most of them are in online or real present conferences, and the ones that we could probably address. So we were thinking about what are the taglines and what are the formats that we could probably offer to organizers of these events, to let's say have a portfolio of offers under the label of GITA, to say that there will be some, let's say, keynotes or fish bowls or world cafes or whatever around certain topics that shape the positive image of impact investing. And that's where we are at the moment. So what in future we will need to do is to go from this, let's say, there is taglines and target groups towards a concrete portfolio of ideas, which in fact is, let's say, I'd say a 10-page document or whatever, to say this is our offer and these are the persons that we could present there, and these are the formats, and these could be the inspirational things that come out of these sessions for your community, to and then to address them towards the organizations and towards the organizers of these events. So this is something that what we need. And so basically the objective 2 and the objective 3. So objective 2 is the ecosystem mapping, and objective 3 is the let's say yeah, this kind of portfolio of offerings of for conferences are the ones that we are working on and where we are focusing on in future. And this is where we definitely need help, assistance, and smart minds. So that was everything I could say here. If someone else from the MIMS group wants to chime in, then please go ahead.
Thank you. So
if anybody wants to have a look at what the group has been up to, A while ago, I posted the link to the Notion document. It's public, so you can just go in and start reading. It's an immense amount of content that they've created, and it's not trivial to step through that. So it's that is one of the challenges we're facing, and that's why Paolo has joining us also to help us make sense of this in a more structured way. So based on what you heard from René, any thoughts, any contributions, any conferences you're doing, any formats you would like to contribute, connections you would like to make, energy you would like to put in? Now is your time to speak. I hear somebody.
Please, that would be really very helpful. Connections, conferences, concrete information, please.
Yeah, Elke is heading that topic at the moment. So basically, that is she's the captain of the topic, so to say.
So I don't see any immediate reactions. That doesn't matter. We're recording this. You're hearing it. You can spread it. You can reach out to any of us at any later point if you want to connect somebody. So if you're looking at the next conference and you would like to infiltrate something about making impact sexy, there you go. That's who you speak with. So if that is everything around this and there's no further feedback, I'd like to open it for Julia now to present to us what is happening with regards to impact measurement. Julia, your stage.
Yes. Thank you. Perfect. So I'll give a short overview of what we're doing. Background, we kind of started as the collaboration group, but then we, after speaking to Lihi, who said that she is doing work on impact measurement, and it was a topic in our collaboration group anyways, that we thought, well, how can we collaborate more around the topic of impact measurement, because it's still very siloed and everyone is using their own frameworks. How can we standardize this more? We thought, how about we join forces together and really merge the groups? So that's actually how it started. And the goal of what we're doing is to create an open source impact measurement framework process so that people can really see how is this being created, and not have and being able to really see everything and also use it for themselves, because so far the problem is that too many funds or too many investors keep it to themselves without sharing with other people, and we really want to make it that open, so that not only can you see the outcome and can use it for yourself, but you're also part of the entire process and learning journey, basically. And so what we've decided to do is we are using the theory of change and some resources that in actually the firm that I'm running, we have already created. And so we're just using that, making it completely public, and gathering a group of around 15 people. Still, it can be a little bit less, it can be a little bit more, but we really want to have a core group that then looks at the foundation that we've created and the 4 topics that we've chosen, which are, just to give you an idea, sustainable food and agriculture, we have clean infrastructure, we have good health and well-being, as well as quality education. And so those are 4 topics that I think a lot of people are interested in and are pretty widespread. And so over the course of 3 months, to look at these 4 topics and to see how can we build a framework based on the work that a lot of people have already done, to measure impact in the best way possible. Because right now we have, I think, 157 frameworks. So the jury is that we don't need more frameworks. We just need more standardization around how to use these frameworks for the right cases. And so Lihi was very kind to already put together some sort of a process for these 3 months. So we would, as mentioned, gather these 15 people, create 4 subgroups focusing on one topic each, and have about 6 meetings over the duration of 3 months to really work on a methodology for each of these areas. And the final outcome would be something like an official handbook outlining the process of how such an impact measurement framework is created, as well as the methodologies and metrics. And everybody working on this will be a contributor to this handbook, because we really want to have something tangible. Like we mentioned earlier, I think we have enough of just networking and talking, but we really want to create something that people can look back at, that we can improve on and iterate over time. And so that's sort of the format. I mean, it will definitely be a bit of time commitment. We think that, again, just based on a personal estimation, maybe anywhere between 2, 3, 4 hours a week going into this meeting on a bi-weekly basis. But we want to gather a group of people who have expertise in this area already. So impact investors, consultants, advisors, academic professionals, and to really come up with something that more people can use in the future. So I hope this is clear. This is the sort of the goal, purpose of what we're doing, why we're doing it. Lihi, please feel free to chime in if I've missed anything. But I think it can be, really exciting and a great learning journey for everyone.
I agree. I think you did a great job. And I think what's exciting here is that we have a venture fund, an impact venture capital fund, that is willing to work with the GITA Germany community in such an open way and say, let's design this matrix together with different experts and different people from the GITA Germany and then other experts that we'll invite in an open and transparent way. And hopefully this will be a tool that, and the process will all be kind of online and open. And so hopefully it will help other VCs understand how to do it and adopt this kind of structure and cut down barriers, which is really what we're trying to do. So I'm very excited and about also the openness and willingness of Tidal to work like this. I think it's super inspiring.
Thank you both for presenting. I'm sure there are some thoughts and ideas in the room. So feel free to unmute yourself and just share with us anything you would like to add about what you just heard.
I guess just one more comment to add. So if you're personally interested, or if you know people who are interested, we are just putting together a 1 to 3 pager, just reviewing it internally. And then once it's ready, happy to share with everyone. I think Thomas is also happy to share in the community so that you know exactly what it's about, what the commitment is, what the process looks like. And then you can make up your mind, I think, a little bit better.
Yeah, so I will definitely keep sending updates via email, but it's always easy and transparent to engage through Notion and Slack with everybody. And go ahead, Yannick.
Just a comment from my side. For me, it was new that there actually was kind of a new active impact measurement working group. It seems like the Slack channel kind of went into kind of silent mode 1-2 months ago. Nobody really was active anymore. And I think, I think it's really cool that you continue working on it, but I think we kind of lose kind of traction if not everybody is kind of kept on board, I guess.
Mm-hmm. So one way of staying on board is how we instituted it so far is the monthly Scrum meeting. But maybe that's either not enough or the wrong format. So I'd really love to hear thoughts and ideas of how to keep people in the loop. I'm I'm very open to anything. Other
I think
thoughts?
Julia's presentation is exactly what Elke is talking about in terms of concrete, tangible results that people can contribute to, but also benefit from. And this is exactly the spirit that GITA wants to have. So a few people come together, they have knowledge, they have experience, but they don't know everything. And they want to make sure that the problem holders also contribute to the knowledge and then create a solution that everyone can use. So this is exactly the work in progress that we can have. So really well done on that front. What I wanted to say about the communication, I know I'm going to sound awfully old school, and trust me, I have tens of WhatsApp groups and most of them are a nuisance. But at the end of the day, even though I am on Slack and all kinds of other tools, it's really WhatsApp that works. And when everybody wants to be updated, even if it's a silent group that you just look once in a while, you know what's going on, it's immediate. People are responsive. They know what's going on. It's easy to look back and see what's happened before. And somehow it's pretty much the shittiest ways, excuse my language, to communicate, but it works. So I don't know what to say, but maybe we should consider having a WhatsApp group.
That's you saying that because Israel would break down without WhatsApp.
For sure.
But yes, I somewhat agree that this could be a good option. So I will take that as energy. Take that energy to start a WhatsApp group for Germany and see where that takes us.
I guess one addition to that, because I agree, like WhatsApp, we're all on WhatsApp, so we definitely see it more often than Slack because we can be in tens of Slack groups. Same thing though with WhatsApp, like you can be in tens of WhatsApp groups. So maybe one more thing to do is send, I know you send like emails and updates, but to send a very clear email saying these are the 3 working groups, this is exactly what's happening, these are the people to reach out to, because I look at all my emails and then I can see in one glance, this is all that's happening, instead of going to Slack where I need to go through all the different channels and check them individually.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So if there's no more feedback around this WhatsApp and Julia's project, then I would like to hand it over to Elke to share with us what her plans are in the version 2 of the collaboration group.
Thank you, Thomas. So maybe we can join a WhatsApp group and Telegram group. So maybe there is a possibility to make copy and paste. So I jumped into GITA and listened for the first 3-4 months, and while listening, it's coming up the idea to form a collaboration project, and that I want to share with you. I prepared a little presentation for getting it more clear, with a goal to start the work on this project in January, and to hope to find people who wants to work with me and Kai Maikwitz on that project. So I try to share the screen, and you see I copied GITA. Okay, so collaboration project. It's about mapping types of collaboration, the ecosystem of deep impact businesses. And what does that mean? What that means? So why? I learned in this 6 months that collaboration is a key issue for ecosystems with a deep impact. So as Cecilia and Lihi said in their introductions. And I learned that there are many different images, ideas, desires what collaboration is all about. So collaboration is all matching, sharing, coordinating, networking, collaborating, co-creating everything, open source, community. So it's a diffuse theme. And so the project tries to, and this achieves different aims. For example, sharing tries to share, working together tries to work to achieve something, or co-creation wants to create something. So there are different movements in that. So therefore, they work in different ways and have very important different success factors. So that's why the project wants to explore and map the different types of collaboration with the aim of pointing out the conditions of successful collaboration with regard to the impact-driven businesses. And maybe the business-driven businesses and tech, maybe there is a difference too. I don't know. And to support the players in the ecosystem to find the appropriate type of collaboration for their actions, for getting more clear how they have to speak about and to design the collaboration. And at the end, it tries to give a practical advice on how to organize collaboration. So my picture is to have a guidebook of, so if you want to collaborate in a way of matching, you have to deal with 1, 2, 3, 4 important points and to design the collaboration. So the idea is that the project first starts in GITA Germany and with the DACH region, so Austria and Switzerland. And I think it would be really very exciting to extend it to a global level. And getting from that, having a closer look on the differences and commons in collaboration on a global level. So this is a little graphic or picture of what I think about, and that. But that is the beginning of an open conversation with the group. So we have this coordination, cooperation, collaboration, co-creation. So co-creation has something to do with social art, if you want so. And coordination is something like experts are coordinating their expertise. And so all this is around in the ecosystem. And I think the challenge is what kind of collaboration or working together is very useful to making impact businesses and making the real impact. And especially what are the success factors for it. So what it's about the project. So we try to build the group of people who are engaged in the ecosystem and who are willing to bring their expertise, their observations and awareness of what collaboration is in the ecosystem, such as investors, entrepreneurs, consultants, or all the other who are active in the ecosystem and wants to bring them in. The idea is to work on a weekly basis in virtual meetings, doing necessary research during the week, and will be facilitated by me and Kai Markwitz, who is also part of the collaboration group already. And of course, with the general support of Polo. So what are the next steps? Building the group in December, January. So please feel free to join us and to get in touch with me or to give me a hint to people who would be interested in. The kickoff meeting is planned on 20th January for two hours. And then the weekly weekends, the weekly meetings. And the idea is for April, I try to figure out if it's realistic to host a format on the Impact Festival in Frankfurt for diving deeper into collaboration and especially for getting insights from the participants, so that we are not sitting in this group and having no insight from out of the group. and then maybe presentation of the outcome to the whole GITA community in May and planning next steps, and then we'll see where we are. So here are my reach out to me or over Slack. It's great, and I would be glad to have some of you from you on board with me. Okay, so if you have further questions or ideas or what we can do better, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Elke. That was.
So you already have the first client, GITA Germany. So
Thank
I
you very
think,
much.
we can use your findings within the within the community, within the group. So I'm really looking forward to that. And I will also send an email again inviting everybody to join you, and I will include a link to a WhatsApp group, so that it's easy to connect.
So I will put the presentation in Slack and in Notion so that you can find it whenever you want to find it.
Great.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So I was thinking, first of all, this is really exciting and such important work. I know we're all, you know, in these different spaces of co-creation, collaboration, and it's great to have it organized. I was wondering, maybe part of the program could be, and following up on one Yannick kind of suggested earlier, feel that this is a classic a problem holder. Like we have a problem, we want to see how we can create collaboration. Perhaps within even our community, around the communities, we can find some tools or products, even our platforms that answer some of these issues. So maybe we can add and also engage other members of the community that are that are here or around the world that are using different collaboration solutions or co-creation and all the different types, and have also an answer, not only or suggestions, or at least so just a thought to kind of bring in what Yannick was saying before.
Thank you very much. That I intended to do the research on what is existing in the ecosystem, what is working well, what is not working well, and where are the prototypes, and to bring that in and not to invent everything new on ourselves. Of course. Thank you very much.
Elke? May I just hint? I was doing that for the WSA for the World Summit Award that I'm participating since 13 years, or 17 years I'm on the board. And actually we have found two platforms which are actually very well working. One platform for knowledge exchange, and it's an Israeli platform called Click AI. I don't know if you guys are aware of that. I think, I think you know it pretty well. So it's Clique, like also wie die Clique, yeah, auf Französisch, Click AI. That's a very good one. Then there's OpenExo. I don't know if you guys heard of that. OpenExo is an amazing tool, but it's more than that actually. And then there's a pretty interesting new thing on the block, and we're actually just introducing this to WSA, and we'll have about 12,000 projects on that by end of next year. It's called Odo. I can send it to you, Elke. Basically, projects can present themselves there. So, and it will have all the criteria and categories implemented, which are from the SDGs, which are from different like certifications that we have out there. So that's a pretty comprehensive platform. So maybe just come back to me.
Yes, great. Thank you. So maybe the work of the project will be very, very quick done.
Well, I did for 2 years. We'll be negotiating, going back and forth with the WSA. We're in 180 countries, so it's an amazing network.
Yeah. Let's talk about that.
Yes. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Talk to you later. Verbind dich einfach mal mit uns oder lass uns connecten.
Mama.
All right.
That's great.
Anybody
so
else?
Thomas, maybe you can
Yeah.
say something about Click and our community on Click already, since we're already using that tool. So maybe it's just an extension of the work that we've done. I have to, first of all, to be transparent about the fact that I'm one of the early investors in Click. I believe in the need to have tools that manage communities in a smart way. So at the very least, and I also wrote it in the chat, at the very least, if you want to know who's in the community, who are they, what's their contact information, what do they do, which organizations do they represent, and you can access it from the organization side or from the personal side, then you can look at Click. but going forward, it's also a good tool for collaboration, co-creation, all these things, which we're currently not using. But if Elke, if you want to lead this, maybe this is a good opportunity to do this, and we can also connect you with the founders and managing team of Click that can help you.
I'm already on the Click group of GITA. So not for being more clear. So my idea of this project in the beginning is to focus on what do we need as humans to work together. Tools are really great. We developed a wonderful tool for getting to wise solutions, but tools are not the surrogate for really working as a human together. And so my idea is that the human that would the conditions of human collaboration will be the focus on the project.
Yeah, of course, that's basic. It's just you just asked the question about the tool, so that's what I responded to. But of course, you have to design what are the problems that people want to work on and what are the challenges, and for sure.
Great.
Okay. Anything else? No? Okay. Then.
Thank you very much, Elke. Thank you very much, Cecile and Alex, for the feedback and support. So now our next step here, and let's take a breath and run around our monitors once, to get our blood moving. I would like to share with you now the assumptions we have about how a community architecture could work. A community architecture that both has in mind regional aspects and global aspects. It has in mind that there is a meaning-making process that comes from the community and isn't a top-down process only. A design that allows us all to shape this actively in the way we want this to be. I will run you through how we arrived at that, and after that, I'd like to open a couple of breakout rooms regarding some questions that emerge out of that, to deliberate on these questions among smaller groups, and then bring it back into the plenary as part of our learning and wrapping up our day today. So with that, I'm gonna share this. So this is the most important element, as I see it, of GITA, and this is a group of people doing things together. Two leads, as we like to propose, around, and then a couple of other people around working together, and they're working together maybe towards something. They have a question and they want to find an answer to that question. And the way that usually works is that since it's a question, you don't know, right? You have to start searching in a big search field and start finding out who else might be working there, find the others, find the others, find information, find approaches that have been successful in the past or have failed, and then put those together into something that leads towards a potential answer. And at one point you will figure out what that might be, and then you have a result. That's how we approach building Lego boxes, and that's how we approach building families and companies and everything else. So if one group does that, that is already good. But if many groups do that around several topics and in several regions, the result looks something like this. So we have what we call chapters, and there's a chapter in Israel and Germany, and there's the beginning of a chapter in Finland, and we have pillars, things that are worth working on in the field that we find ourselves in, which is tech impact investing. Like impact measurement, making impact sexy, collaboration. And in Israel, there might be a group around that topic and some other topics. And in Germany, we know that these three topics. In Finland, there might be some other topics. And in some other chapters, people might work on different topics. So there can be exchange between the groups inside of a pillar, but there's also exchange between the groups within one of the chapters. So how do we organize all of that in a more global way? If we zoom out of that, literally, and we find ourselves with a very similar picture as with the small group that constitutes all of that, and that is, what are we doing? Why are we here? And what is it that we want to achieve? And we call these our mission and our horizon. The horizon is what we see in front of us, something we aspire to, but we are aware we will never reach it because it's a horizon. So it's moving with us. And our mission is our attempt to get closer to that horizon. Now, how do we do that? How do we arrive at a horizon and a mission, and then the necessary infrastructure to filling the mission with life towards that horizon, which we call the pillars, on a regional and on a global level in a coherent way? This is a year. This is a year of what we could do with GITA. And once a year, we get together at the moment in the theoretical form, a big process of how we in the community arrive at the horizon, from the horizon start defining, refining, redefining our mission, extracting the pillars, deducting pillars out of the mission, and then starting to take action. And then throughout the year, we learn, work, discuss, work more, celebrate, connect, discuss, learn, etc., until we arrive back at a point where we re-evaluate our horizon, our mission, and our pillars on a continuous basis. So the way we're doing this is guided by core principles and values towards our general boundary conditions, which are, we believe that we need to forward impact tech investing and fill that within that with life through the horizon setting, through the mission and pillars. And the way we intend to do this is by engaging in a conversation within the regions and then on the global level to define the horizon, and then have a globally open discussion about what might that mean for our mission. Is our mission on track? Is it a good mission, or should we have other missions? And we vote on these things collaboratively, the entire community. And just as we develop the mission, we develop the pillars. Everybody can contribute and we vote. So we try to have it, to organize it in a very open, collaborative, democratic way, but still allow us to be very focused at the same time. Now, all of what I've said, we've written into a document that is work in progress, and that you are all invited to work on, help us refine. And the element of finding horizon, mission, and pillars once a year is defined as what we call the reference protocol. So this is one way of arriving at these instances that are our guidelines for the work throughout the year, but it's not the only possible way. So as a first step, we will open a call for protocols from the community of how we as a community arrive at horizon, mission, and pillars, and then we vote on that. If there's no coherent vote that comes out of this, then we will have the possibility to fall back on our reference protocol. But we are always and every year able to adapt to new circumstances. So before we go into the breakout rooms, I'm briefly going to stop my sharing and would like to open it to questions, so we can discuss this a little bit more in depth, because for the sake of this conversation here, I've touched it on a superficial level, and I'd like to go deep wherever you feel the need.
Thomas, maybe you can keep the visuals for a second.
Yep, of course you can. And guide me to whichever screen you would like to see.
No questions.
No questions. So,
excuse me, friends, I have to apologize. I have to leave for another call. Definitely want to come back or be on track
okay,
and follow you up. So good, gutes weiteres Gelingen.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Alex.
Sorry to leave you guys.
We will keep you posted.
Absolutely, and sorry to leave. Bye.
All good. So I have the hope that the fact that there are no questions and no feedback at the moment is that this was clear. However, I doubt it, because it's a lot. What I'd like to just move on then to some very concrete questions, and then maybe based on those concrete questions, we will be able to dive a little deeper into our setup. In addition to that, maybe Lihi, you could share the link to the documents so that people can have a look at that. And some of the questions that arise for us out of not only our own setup that we are proposing in that document and that I just outlined, but also from our conversation today, I think are these 4 questions. So I quickly want to go through them, and then Paolo will help us to join around these 3 questions in 4 breakout rooms. So roles. I mentioned my role as a steward of Germany. There's the role of the group leads, but there might be many other roles. Out of what Elke is creating, there might be some role called the steward of collaboration, or if we want to get together on a more regular basis, somebody could own the stewardship for events. Somebody could own the stewardship for the knowledge pool that we're creating, and knowing how to share that, how to make that accessible. So the question for that group would be, what kind of roles do we want? What kind of roles are relevant? The second one is volunteering. So we're in order to be able to speak on our own behalf, we should stay independent. So we rely on us contributing, volunteering. But what makes us volunteer? What makes us put in our time? And I think Yannick had a very valid point around that. And that's what this group is asking. Then another point is we have very valuable partners and products already in the sphere of GITA Germany and GITA in general. But how do we partner with them? What's a fair model of partnering, a transparent model of partnering? How does that work? How do we integrate them? Which ones do we want to integrate, etc.? And the fourth one is about financing. So we currently have avoided the need for financing, but Paolo needs some butter on his bread, or bread under his butter. So he needs to have some money, right? So and this might evolve into something new. So how do we, as a group in Germany, finance the help of somebody like Paolo to in a way that is actually serving our needs? So these are the 4 groups, and I would like to try the following. Paolo has set up these groups, and I would like you to just unmute yourself and state which group you want to be part in, and then Paolo will put you in. Who wants to go first? Maha.
I'm flexible to go in any of the groups. For each one of them, I could have an input.
I know, but which one do you want to go in?
I'll go for number 1.
Okay.
May you share the slide another time, please?
Yeah, of course.
Thanks. Okay, I want to go to the rules.
Roles as well, okay.
I already put it in the chat. I'll go to the partners group.
Okay. Who wants to join?
I'm really sorry, Alke, to ask you again in which group you want to be assigned.
That's roles.
Okay.
Roles.
Okay.
So who wants to join René in partners?
Me, please.
I join. Also added it to the chat.
Okay. Perfect.
Who hasn't added it to the chat and hasn't said it yet?
We have some volunteering and financing. Okay. We're just missing financing, okay. We're missing someone for volunteering. There is no one so far.
Well, since we had a rapid decline of members of this call in the last 5 minutes, I would say we don't fill 4 groups. We do with 2, maximum 3 groups.
Okay.
So, and what I would like to do is that you have 15 minutes time from the moment when Paolo opens the breakouts to discuss the question of your group, and then come up with either deeper questions plus potential answers to that question that we can then share in the plenary before we call it a day for today. So Paolo, are we good to start the groups?
Can I assign people who didn't say anything just randomly?
I would say yes.
Okay, perfect. And all right. Do I assign also you, Thomas? One of those?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Me too. Wherever there's
Okay, yeah. Okay, perfect. Okay. Did you receive it? Hello.
Oh, there we go.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Hi.
cool. Thanks, Paula. I had to slip away for about 40 minutes for an urgent other appointment.
Yeah, no problem.
So I'm just checking back to see if everyone's still alive and everything.
Yeah,
I'm actually,
yeah, they
but
are.
okay. Are you loose at the moment? Are you available to have a quick discussion with?
Yeah, the only thing that right now I put people in rooms to discuss about certain topics. If you want, I
Okay.
can put you in one of the rooms. It's gonna last in 5 minutes. But if you want, I can add you
Okay.
more.
Okay, well, stick me in with one. It's fairly new to me. I'm a surprise attendee, and yeah, very impressed. I'm out of South Africa,
Okay.
and I'm in the tech space in the university tech transfer. So technology for impact is our business. So
Okay.
sorry enough, I see I've taken my face out. Sorry, that's rude. There we go. So I'm fascinated. But it's too new for me to speak and have an opinion. I might be too forward or arrogant.
I'm new as well, so I'm just coordinating the call. That's pretty much what I'm doing today.
Okay, good, excellent. You can stick me into any room. I'll just
Yeah.
say nothing and listen.
But yeah, in about 5 minutes, probably they will just
Okay,
take. I will just take everyone back. But anyways, if you wanna join,
So I see I'm going to financing.
exactly.
Excellent, good, thank you.
No
Ciao.
problem. Ciao.
bang.
Bye. So I'm terribly sorry I have to leave for the next call. So the other in the group will present our results. Thank you very much for everything and see you back again.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Bye.
Elke.
Bye.
Okay, welcome back. It's nice to see everybody with the cameras on. Great. So let's unload what we found for a couple of minutes and then wrap up for today and think about what the next step's going to be. So which group wants to begin?
Yeah, probably I start.
Okay.
This is the partners group. Yeah, in fact, we had a very short discussion because it's tricky to find the right let's say angle to have a view on. Of course, it is always a question: what kind of partnering do we mean here? So, is it partnering in respect to, let's say, companies from the outside that are not part of GITA, from people that work in GITA and want to present their product or solution or, let's say, input or whatever? And the last thing, and I think that was also some very interesting point, is to say, how do we partner with other organizations which are, in fact, I would not say similar to us, but near to us, like the Green Tech Alliance here, or Gin Tonic and all the other networks. So basically, this is, in fact, the three main areas that we are focusing on. Of course, which is, I think, very important, is it has to have a give and take. So it's basically, we have to, I think we didn't came to any solution here, but basically it's about thinking to prevent that this is a kind of sales platform for selling products. And on the other hand, I think we need, because there are very smart people here at GITA with very smart solutions, we need kind of templates and kind of input from all of them, and there could be some very good solutions here. The question is probably, if it's a kind of for-profit thing, is it something where we as GITA, I always talk as we as GITA, can participate in the success or in parts of the success here, or at least if there is no money involved, or at least if there is no, it's how do we can use this as a tool that's probably labeled with the name of GITA or has some connotation. And the last thing is that we probably need to, when we partner, for instance, with other organizations, it's also a topic to say, where we can work together using tools together, or their networks or whatever, and where we should be separate, and what's I think that's one of the questions of the horizon question, or of the mission question, probably better. It's the question, what distinguishes us from other initiatives there, because of course the amount of initiatives that are out there that could be partners for us are where, at least in the year 2020, grew to quite some extent compared to the years before. And that's basically the outcome of it. If some of the others want to chime in here, please go ahead.
Well, maybe just one point. I think it's also important to identify the incentives for different stakeholder groups that may want to join GITA, because I think different groups or different individuals have different incentives to be part of it. And if you want to expand the network, then it would be good to know what their incentives to join might be.
Okay, it's an interesting point. Coming from the incentive question. Yeah, I like it. Thank you. What were the three groups, Paulo? I know there was roles and
financing.
Financing. So who wants to go from the financing group?
So it was me and Stefan and Hannes who joined us. So we were talking about the different kind of ideas of financing. If we can want to just go at it alone without any financing, or get corporate sponsorship, or there's a lot of capital and theoretically we could get it, and then philanthropic approaches and different ideas there, and then different ideas of membership fee. And so what we were kind of going across is that the importance is to stay independent. And I kind of share that in terms of the organizational approach of GITA, you're absolutely trying to get philanthropy right now, and raising a lot of, we're doing a lot of fundraising these days to have an infrastructure for the organization. But there needs to be some kind of flexibility, and we're very careful not to be completely dependent on any kind of funder. But the question really is also about the members themselves. So of course we agree that someone is an active member. And Stefan suggested like a very small membership fee, like something very modest for a year, to keep people committed and engaged and make sure that there is some money in the organization. But we were kind of debating the idea of people who are are part of the community, not active, but they use the tools. They'll come to the event, the yearly event, and that's it. Maybe we can, have a larger membership fee for those kind of participants. And so we're kind of just discussing it. We didn't have any conclusions.
Okay, Hannes, do you want to add something?
Sorry, Thomas, I think you're speaking to me, but I can't hear you.
Yeah.
Good. No, I'm a by chance visitor, and I'm in awe. I'm quite relieved to see there's a whole ecosystem of people who want to save the world with me. So I'm not on my own. I'm from far away. I'm sitting in South Africa. So I come from maybe one of the territories where high impact is really needed in Africa and the continent. I'm learning. There's a lot still I need to ask. I'd love to catch up with Leah offline and see how things fit. A couple of questions that might be guiding, a couple of ideas, and to address some of your questions. Why would I have hunted you down and logged in for today? And sorry about my own personal breakaway, was for an urgent other meeting earlier on. It's because of this disconnect in the impact investment, and where we sit in the midst of a continent full of impact-seeking investment. We've got opportunities and stuff, but it doesn't link. It doesn't link because the centers of finance sits in Europe and America, a little bit in China. We're monitoring what loose groups are doing. Very interesting, good work. I'm from a university technology transfer background, so this is our game. Taking technology for the sake of impact on society and the earth. So it's not only green, it's people, and people and the disconnect and disparities. So I'm very excited. I hope I can join in. I'm not sure yet exactly how you structure, how you work, but we are. There's a growing like-mindedness, and one of my questions would be how GITA Germany would accommodate more people to join without the Germany being an exclusive geographic sort of cap, because you'd like to maybe take the lead because somebody needs to, otherwise everyone's staring at each other. Nothing happens. Yet to include other geographies, because eventually everyone has to agree, otherwise you're going to be duplicating just outside GITA Germany.
Well, that's the plan. Eventually we're going to have a GITA in Africa as well.
Good, good. And I mean, just from the area I come from, the UN has just yesterday asked for all the universities in the world to nominate people to be technology champs for exactly this. They just don't call it impact. So there's a quick link to scale tremendously into other organized ecosystems who are very, very well aligned to this. They would have their own drivers, such as university IP, but I mean, it's part of the mix of the solution here, and the startup sector. So I think you may underestimate how quickly, with relatively little own effort, you could scale and become, well, it sounds silly, then GITA Germany could become a global phenomenon.
GITA Germany is a German phenomenon, but GITA is a global phenomenon.
Yeah. No,
so
I get it. I get it.
So I really like the idea that you guys, Lee and you and Marcio, get together and discuss your ideas and maybe expansion into Africa somehow. Yeah. Cool, wonderful. So there's one group left, and then it's time to wrap up with all the learnings today. Who of the roles group would like to speak? Eminem, Marcio, and Maha. Who wants to go?
Yeah, I can go. So Maha, correct me if I missed something, but we discussed 4 roles. One role that was very creative and unconventional that was brought up by Maha was the role of observer. We should have an observer role, maybe a few observers on every chapter, certainly one or more observers on every group, that her or his own role will be to observe and give feedback to the group so that it provides a reflection and improves the functionality of the group. The second role, then the other 3 roles were more conventional. One was events coordinator, and a third role would be social media communications, and the fourth role, which was also very nice, brought from America, was the onboarding role. Someone that will take care of onboarding new members to the community. I think, did I miss anything?
No, that was the 4 roles we discussed. Yes, that's and we also talked a little bit about holacratic organization, like organizing in circles around different responsibilities or topics. So that was that was also part of the conversation. It is worth mentioning, at least.
Yes.
Maha, you played the observer here. Not active. Okay. So that was a long run, 2 hours, 38 minutes since we started. I'm impressed with the endurance of everybody who still is here. Thank you very much for that. And I am also thankful for all of the inputs by all the other people who had to drop out earlier. It'll all be recognized. We listened to all of it. We will review all of it in order to incorporate it into our structure that we want to use to move forward. What I mean by moving forward is that in one form or another, we want to implement the Horizon mission pillar thing on a global level. And as a first step, and I will also write this in an email to everyone, we will open a call for protocols of how to arrive at these in a coherent way across all regions and on a global level. And we will then collect these and vote on these on the entire community. And then start implementing that. And this is, when I say then, this means in the next couple of weeks, we will make a decision on the protocol. And then we will define concrete dates during January of how to operationalize this process, so that with the beginning of the year, we will move into a new configuration, which is a new experiment of what it means to be GITA. And I'm really, really grateful for everybody who joins us for this journey, who helps us learn, helps us build, helps us create this. With that, I think I have everything, almost everything probably is said and done. Maybe Marcio or Lihi, you want to add something from a global perspective on what's going to happen as a final word, and then we can say goodbye.
First of all, as Thomas said, all of this was recorded and we're writing notes the whole time, and really, really appreciate your thoughts and your time and engagement. And the idea is that what we're going to do is really try to structure it. We're also talking to other community leaders. So if you know of different communities around the world that you like Alex mentioned and so on, anything that's important for us to know, we're trying to really design it. And we will actually in the early 2021 just restructure the idea, come up with a new website and platforms, and hope to have a larger event, more with content, not just talking about us, but actually talking with different experts on the topics that we're working on. So we'll keep you posted with that. And I think we'll just have great feedback on what we're going to integrate into this. And just tell you, it's great to have these kind of thoughts and information from you guys, because we're sitting and trying to have these conversations on our own. And the more input we have, I think the better the product will be. So thank you.
Cool. Wonderful. So thank you. Thank you.
And thank you, Thomas, for working so hard on this. You worked
My pleasure.
the hardest.
My absolute pleasure.
Absolutely, Thomas. Thank you so much.
Okay, everyone, thank you for your time. I'm deeply grateful. It's much, much appreciated. And I will, I'll have to put down these phones here. So, I will soon follow up with an email, wrapping up, talking about next steps. And I look forward to seeing all of you again. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Thomas.